Before this video ends, I need you to do one thing. Picture the Monopoly man, the old guy on the board game box. Top hat, suit, round belly. Now, does he have a monocle? Think carefully. Don't second guess yourself. Go with your first instinct. Most of you just said yes. He doesn't. He never has. Not once. In the entire 90-year history of the game. And yet, millions of people across the world, people who've played that game hundreds of times, people who grew up with it on the shelf, remember that monocle as clearly as they remember their own childhood bedroom. This is the Mandela effect. And once you understand what's really happening inside your brain when this occurs, you will never trust your own memory the same way again. Part 1. Where the name comes from. A woman named Fiona Broome is at a paranormal convention in the United States. She's chatting with other attendees about Nelson Mandela, the South African anti-apartheid leader, future president, one of the most recognized figures of the 20th century. And she mentions, casually, that she has a vivid memory of his death in prison in the 1980s. She remembers the news coverage. She remembers footage of his funeral. She even remembers his widow giving a speech. The people around her go quiet. And then, one by one, they start nodding. They remember it too. There's just one problem. Nelson Mandela was alive, sitting in his home in South Africa. He wouldn't die until 2013, decades after the death everyone in that room clearly remembered. Fiona went home and wrote about it. Within weeks, thousands of people across the internet came forward saying, "I remember that too. I remember him dying in prison." She named the phenomenon the Mandela effect, and it blew a hole in everything we thought we knew about how human memory works. Part 2. The examples that will make you question everything. Let me run you through some of the most debated ones, and I want you to genuinely test yourself. The Berenstain Bears, children's books, beloved characters. Most of you grew up with them. How do you spell it? Is it Berenstein or Berenan? The answer is Stain. A-I-N. It has always been A-I-N. But if you Google Berenstain, the autocomplete fills it in. Forums are full of people, educated, detail-oriented people, who swear on their lives it had an E. I'll tell you right now. Comment below which one you remember. I want to see the split. Luke, I am your father. One of the most famous movie lines ever spoken. Everyone knows it. Except that's not what Darth Vader says. The actual line is, "No, I am your father." The word Luke is never there. Go back and watch it. Your brain inserted it because it made the sentence feel complete. Kit Kat, the chocolate bar. You've eaten it. You've seen the ads. Is there a hyphen between Kit and Kat? There isn't. There never was. It's just Kit Kat. One smooth word. Ask 10 people. 8 will tell you there's a hyphen. They'll argue about it. Curious George. Does he have a tail? No, he does not. Never did. And when you go back and look at the illustrations, it's jarring. Something feels missing that was never there. These aren't small details. These are things people feel certain about, not vaguely certain. The kind of certainty that makes you want to argue. Part 3. What's actually happening in your brain? So are all these people just wrong? Are millions of people simply misremembering? Yes, but not the way you think. Here's the thing most people get wrong about memory. Your brain is not a video camera. It doesn't record events and play them back. Every time you remember something, your brain reconstructs it, like a detective piecing together a crime scene from scattered clues. And every reconstruction is slightly influenced by what you've heard since, what makes logical sense, what others around you believe, what your brain expects to be true. This is called confabulation, and it's not lying. It's not stupidity. It's not delusion. It's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Fill in gaps, make sense of the world, build a coherent story. When you see a round, pompous-looking man in a top hat, your brain automatically reaches for the most culturally recognizable version of that archetype, the Victorian gentleman with a monocle. It adds to it because it fits the pattern. When you remember Darth Vader's most dramatic moment, your brain knows he's talking to Luke, so it puts Luke into the sentence. It feels more complete that way. And this is the part that really gets me, social contagion takes over. You mention your memory to someone, they confirm it, they share it online. Someone else recognizes it, someone else adds detail. The false memory grows richer, more specific, more convincing with every retelling. This is why the Mandela effect tends to happen in clusters. The same false memory, shared by thousands of people who never met each other, spread through the invisible network of shared cultural experience. Memory isn't just personal, it's contagious. Part 4. Everyday life. This is happening to you right now. This isn't just a quirk of movie quotes and board games. This is happening in your daily life in ways that matter. Think about the last argument you had with someone close to you, a partner, a sibling, a friend. You both remember it differently, don't you? You remember what was said. They remember it differently. And you're both completely, absolutely, sincerely convinced that you're right. You're probably both wrong, or at least both partly reconstructed. Think about childhood memories, the ones you've told so many times they feel like stone. Research by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, arguably the world's leading expert on false memory, showed that you can implant an entirely fabricated memory into someone's mind just by asking leading questions. In her studies, people began to remember being lost in a shopping mall as a child, an event that never happened, simply because a researcher described it to them and asked them to think about it. The memory felt real. It had sensory detail, emotion. It had a beginning and an end. It was fiction their brain had authored. Think about eyewitness testimony in court. People go to prison based on what witnesses remember. And we now know those memories, however vivid, however sincere, are reconstructions, shaped by police questioning, media coverage, and the passage of time. This isn't a small thing. This is the architecture of how we understand our own lives. Part 5. The theories and the debate. Now, I have to be honest with you because this is where it gets controversial. The scientific explanation I just gave you is the mainstream consensus: false memory, confabulation, social contagion. Most psychologists and neuroscientists agree this explains the Mandela effect completely. But there is another theory, and it has millions of believers: the parallel universe theory. The idea is this: what if these memories aren't false? What if we, or some of us, actually did experience a timeline where Mandela died in prison, where the bears were the Berenstains, where the Monopoly man had a monocle? What if, at some point, the timelines merged and we're now living in one reality but carrying memories from another? I know how that sounds, and I want to be clear. There is no scientific evidence for this. Quantum mechanics doesn't work this way, and physicists are generally exasperated by this interpretation. But here's why I'm telling you. The fact that millions of people find the parallel universe explanation more emotionally satisfying than "your memory is just unreliable," that itself is worth paying attention to. We would rather live in a reality of infinite timelines than accept that our own minds regularly fabricate our pasts. What does that tell you about us? Memory was never a record. It was always a story, one we write and rewrite throughout our lives, shaped by who we are, who we've talked to, what we need to believe. The Mandela effect isn't really about the Monopoly man, or a chocolate bar, or a bear family's last name. It's about the unsettling discovery that the past, the one that feels most intimately yours, isn't fixed. It's alive. It shifts. It edits itself. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it means we're not broken. We're just human. Pattern-seeking, story-hungry, meaning-making creatures who sometimes get the details wrong, but rarely get the feeling wrong. So here's what I want to know from you. What's your Mandela effect? What do you remember absolutely clearly that turned out to be different from what everyone else experienced? Drop it in the comments. Let's find out how many people share the same one. Because if enough of you remember the same thing, maybe one of us is from a different timeline. Or maybe we just have very convincing brains.